Unit 1, Life Science, Organization of Life, Cell Theory. Scientific theory. Theory is commonly used to mean a hunch or idea, but that is not its meaning in science. A scientific theory is a widely tested and accepted explanation of a set of observations. The cell theory is a scientific theory that states, all living things are made up of one or more cells, all cells come from other cells, and there is no living things smaller than a cell. The cell is the basic unit or building block of life. Organisms that have only one cell are called unicellular organisms. Unicellular means one-celled. They are also called microorganisms. The bacteria that make you sick, as well as the bacteria that turn milk to yogurt, are unicellular organisms. Organisms that have more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. In a multicellular organism, cells work together to make up the structures of the body and to complete the functions needed for life. The cells in multicellular organisms work together in several ways. Some cells specialize, just as people specialize in their work as carpenters, dentists, and other professions. Some specialized cells work with other cells like them, the way that a number of carpenters may work together on a house. When a number of similar cells work together, those cells make up a tissue. An example of a tissue is your biceps. Just as carpenters, electricians, and plumbers may work on the same building, many cells within different kinds of tissues work together in an organ. An example of an organ is the heart, where muscle tissues pump blood and nervous tissues controls the heart. In a multicellular organism, cells are organized into a hierarchy. A familiar hierarchy is shown on this page. Letters make up words, words make up sentences, and sentences make up paragraphs. Letters are at the bottom of this hierarchy. Words are higher, and paragraphs are even higher. In cell hierarchy, cells are at the bottom. Cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs, and organs make up organ systems. The illustration shows the level of organization in the digestive system. Muscle cells make up muscle tissue. Muscle and other tissues make up the stomach, which is an organ. The stomach and other organs make up the digestive system. So we can see that at the cellular level, we get a smooth muscle cell, then more smooth muscle cells are put together to make tissue, and then more tissues are made to create an organ, and then there's several different things that happen to make an organ. We have smooth tissue layers and epithelial tissues, so different kinds of tissues. And then at the system level, all of the other organs are put together, made out of cells and tissues, to make a system. So this is the digestive system. So it starts with our esophagus, where we swallow. We have our liver, the stomach, the pancreas, the gallbladder, small intestine, and then large intestine. Certain things must happen for you to live. Among other things, you must get food, take in water, and get rid of waste and toxins. This is true for you in all multicellular organisms, and it is also true for unicellular organisms. In fact, most of the things that keep an organism alive begin at the cellular level. In the same way that an organism can have specialized cells, cells can have specialized parts. These parts do different things to keep an organism alive. So this is an illustration of a cell. The cell has a nucleus or a center. There's a cell membrane that surrounds the cell that keeps everything in and keeps it protected. Mitochondria and ribosomes are also part of any kind of cell. So cell membrane, every cell has a cell membrane. The cell membrane controls how much the water, sugar, sodium, and other substances flow in and out. Chloroplasts are the cell components where photosynthesis takes place. We do not have chloroplasts, but plants do. Mitochondria package energy in a way that cells can use. Plants get energy from sunlight, and animals get energy from food. In both plants and animals, that energy is changed by mitochondria into ATP. Some cells, such as bacteria, don't have mitochondria. Ribosomes make enzymes. These enzymes start the chemical reactions that allow organisms to perform essential functions. Ribosomes also make proteins that are important parts of most body structures, such as bone and muscle. Nucleus. The nucleus is the component that contains the DNA in most types of cells. Not every type of cell has a nucleus. Within cells, tissues, and organs, chemical reactions occur constantly. Chemical reactions between water, sugar, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, or fats, and other molecules allow organisms to perform the essential functions of life: metabolism, reproduction, and development. In the sidebar, there's a definition of ATP. It's adenosine triphosphate, a molecule that is the energy currency of the cell. It stores energy for many body processes. And a chemical reaction is a change of one or more substances into one or more new substances. Energy is taken in and stored or given off during the change. Metabolism. Metabolism refers to all the chemical changes that occur in an organism. There are two basic functions of metabolism: breaking down and building up. In all chemical reactions, energy is either used or stored or given off. For example, when carbohydrates are broken down, energy is given off. When proteins are built, energy is used and stored. Chemical reactions are also how we accomplish the other essential functions of life, such as reproduction and development. They all require building materials and energy, which is why we have to eat. All organisms need energy, and they get it from three sources: sunlight, food, and inorganic chemicals, chemicals that are not in organisms. Plants use sunlight. Animals use food. A few uncommon organisms are inorganic chemicals. Those rare organisms have been found in isolated caves and on the ocean floor. Most living things, though, get their energy from sunlight directly or from food. The source of the energy in food is also sunlight, so almost all organisms on Earth get their energy from the sun. Photosynthesis. How does this happen? It starts with sunlight hits a plant or another organism that contains chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain the green pigment called chlorophyll, which is what catches the light energy. Photosynthesis means using light, or photo, to build something, synthesis. Here's the chemical reaction. It's carbon dioxide plus water, sunlight, sugars, and oxygen. Carbon dioxide plus water react in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll to produce sugars or food and oxygen. Plants and algae use the sugars to build their body structures. For example, trees use sugars to make larger molecules, such as starch and cellulose, in order to build trunks, branches, leaves, and seeds. Cellular respiration. Animals get their energy by eating plant parts, such as seeds and leaves, by eating other animals that have eaten plants, or both. Sugars and other compounds in food are broken down into chemical reactions that give off energy. When sugars are broken down in the presence of oxygen, the process is called aerobic respiration. This chemical reaction is basically the photosynthesis reaction in reverse. So the sugars plus oxygen react to produce carbon dioxide plus water, and energy is given off. Photosynthesis and aerobic respiration balance each other, and each makes the other possible. When plants undergo photosynthesis, they make food and give off oxygen that most animals need to live. When animals break down food, they give off carbon dioxide and water that plants need to undergo photosynthesis. There is another type of cellular respiration, anaerobic, which means without oxygen. The chemical reaction still gives off energy, but not as much and not for long. This process is called fermentation. Unlike people, some fungi and bacteria get much or even all of their energy through fermentation. People use fermentation by yeast, which are fungi, to make bread dough rise. Mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis and meiosis are types of cell division. They are alike in many ways but have important differences, and they have very different results. Remember that the cell theory states that all cells come from other cells. For a body cell, this happens through the process of mitosis. Before a cell divides, it can make copies of its components: more ribosomes, mitochondria, cell membrane, and DNA. The DNA molecules are on structures called chromosomes. So the cell makes copies of the chromosomes. Once the cell component copies are ready, the cell can split and become two cells with chromosomes that are exactly alike. The whole process happens in one day in some of your cells. Mitosis. There are several phases of mitosis. Prophase. After duplication, each chromosome looks like an X. The nucleus has enlarged to hold chromosomes that are twice the normal size. Metaphase, the membrane around the nucleus has dissolved. Spindle fibers pull the chromosomes into the middle of the cell. Anaphase, the two V-shaped parts, now called chromatids, of each chromosome are pulled apart to opposite sides of the cell. Telophase and cytokinesis, the new membrane begins to form around each group of chromatids, making two new nuclei. The cell membrane grows and begins to meet the center of the cell between the two nuclei. During cytokinesis, the two parts of the cell separate and become two cells called daughter cells. Each daughter cell has a full set of chromosomes and a full array of cell components. The time between each division is called interphase. So the illustration shows each phase: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. Mitosis is an important solution to a number of problems. As we live, cells get worn out or damaged. Mitosis makes new cells to replace them. New cells also allow organisms to grow and develop different structures. Meiosis. Meiosis is another cell division process that happens in reproductive organs. Although meiosis is like mitosis in many ways, there are important differences. For one thing, meiosis has twice as many phases. Most importantly, the cells that result from meiosis have half the number of chromosomes of the parent cells. The resulting cells are gametes, such as egg cells in female organisms and sperm cells in males. This is true in plants as well as animals. The definition of gamete is a mature sex cell, such as a sperm or ovum. Here are the phases of meiosis. Prophase 1. The duplicated X-shaped chromosomes move into pairs that have one chromosome each from the organism's mother and father. These are called homologous pairs. Next, the two chromosomes of each pair, let's call them A and B, stick together for a while in a process called crossing over. When they break apart, some parts of A go with B and vice versa. The result is that A is no longer an exact copy of the chromosome that came from the mother. Likewise, B is no longer identical to the chromosome that came from the father. Metaphase 1, as in mitosis, spindle fibers pull the chromosomes into the middle of the cell. Anaphase 1, the pairs split up, and one member of each pair goes to one side of the cell while the other member of the pair goes to the other side. Note they do this randomly. Each side gets some A's and some B's. Telophase 1 and cytokinesis 1. The cell membrane grows and meets in the center of the cell. The two parts of the cell then separate. Prophase 2. There are now two cells. Each cell has only half as many chromosomes as a body cell because there are no pairs. Metaphase 2. Spindle fibers pull the X-shaped chromosomes into the middle of the cell.